Hello everyone, my name is Ritesh Gupta and you're watching the Pentester Guide. Today is the day 2 of this complete playlist of CEH practical tutorial and I'll be covering service enumeration in this video. So the process that I'm following is I'm covering the entire playlist in 6 parts, that is in 6 days, and each day consists of different parts which is required to clear the examination. I already covered the scanning network part. If you haven't saw this video, you can just get the link in the description box, or you can navigate to the whole playlist to cover your concept regarding the scanning network. Today we'll be seeing the different service enumerations such as FTP, followed by SNMP, SMB, RDP, and NetBIOS. If you are not familiar with these protocol, kindly go and give a deep dive of these concepts. These are very important protocols that are used in the networking, but I'll be covering as well that what is FTP and what are these services, how to brute force it, what are the right syntax or the right tools that are required to brute force it or to perform the task that is being asked in the examination. So first of all, we'll be enumerating FTP, and it basically runs on default port 21, and FTP is a network protocol that is used to transfer files between different computers over TCP IP connection. So we'll be learning each and everything by doing practical. So this is practice time. Let's get started. Okay, so you'll be getting the same environment, and the best part for you is that you don't need to bother about any word list or password file. It is already present on the screen. It will be mentioned in the task that you can navigate to the file list from this and this directory. So you just have to be aware about the situation, solve the questions with open mind. Okay, so first of all, when we see any target over the live host that we already found by scanning the network, then we'll get to know that on some IPs there is FTP running on port 21. Okay, so let me check my IP so that I can see that which other IP is running FTP in the network. So we'll copy it and clear it, and I know that FTP is running on port 21 of this IP address, and you will be also aware about what hosts are running which services, because in the network enumeration part you already discovered that what ports are open and what services are running on those ports. But then also I'll be using the nmap to demonstrate you that what service is running on what port. So -nmap, and we'll be using the flag -p for the port 21 because we need to enumerate the FTP, and we will also use this script tag so that external scripts will be utilized as well during the scanning or enumeration of this host. So we got to know that there is a port 21 and the state is open, and the service that is running on the port 21 is FTP. So we are sure now that FTP is running on port 21 for the host ending with IP .3. So let's clear the screen. Now the real thing starts, that when we want to connect or do FTP to share the file, we give a syntax of FTP and the IP of that host machine. So when we do so, it asks us the credentials to log in, and since we don't have any credentials, so let's give the credentials of root and password as tour. Let's see what happens. So we got to know that login was failed. We will exit this. Now what you are supposed to do is you are supposed to brute force the login credentials of FTP, and you, as I already told you, that you don't need to bother about the username list and password list. It will be provided to you already on the desktop screen, or whatever the location they have stored in, they will navigate you or tell you that the credentials are present over here. Okay, but in this case, to demonstrate you and make you aware that what is the process and how you are going to proceed to brute force it, so you have to use the Hydra tool. You must be aware of the Hydra tool. If you are not aware, then I will suggest you that you can go over the try-hack-me. There is a free room for this, and make yourself familiar with the Hydra tool. Hydra tool is basically used for brute forcing the services. So in this case, let me explain you that there are a number of flags that you can utilize it, but majorly focus flag is -l, that is hyphen small l. When you have a username and you just need to give the username, then you will use the hyphen small l, and when you want to give a complete playlist, then you have to give the hyphen capital L as a flag, and you will be using hyphen capital L as a flag in most of the cases during your examination. And for the password, hyphen p flag will be used. I guess we can get it here something, yeah. So hyphen p for the password file, the complete text file or any other file. You can give the path of that file using the hyphen p flag. So this is the main thing that you must be concerned. After that, if you are curious about what header can do, you can navigate or you can learn more about it, but that is not required. It's totally up to you. So I'll be using Hydra to brute force it, Hydra and hyphen L, because I'll be using a complete playlist. Because I'll be using a complete list of the IP of the usernames. Because I'll be using a complete list of usernames, and I'll be using hyphen capital P as a flag because of complete list of passwords. Okay, and after that you just give the IP address of the target machine and the service that you want to brute force. So I want to brute force FTP service. So now we'll be giving the username list and password list. So we'll be using the common password list that is present in our host machine. That's a user share in word list. We'll go for Metasploit, and there we have a number of options. So let me demonstrate you just don't think that how we are supposed to know that what exact word list is used. In this scenario, to demonstrate you, I'm using a specific word list, but in your case you'll be given. Okay, so don't panic about that. It's very easy exam. You can crack it easily. So of course I was showing you that what options do we get. So for the word list, we'll be using the common users txt file. Here we have a list of curated common users, so we'll be using that. And for the password file, we'll be using unix password.txt. okay, so let's get started, and let's see whether we are able to brute force any valid login credentials or not. So for the username, we'll be using the common usernames. Okay, and for the password, same user share word list Metasploit framework. After that we'll be using unix passwords, right? Passwords .txt file. So this is the complete syntax: Hydra hyphen L, the usernames password list, hyphen P, the password list, and after that the IP address on which we are going to do the FTP login brute force, and the protocol that we are going to brute force. So for FTP we use FTP, and for SMB we will be doing the same for SMB SMTP. We just need to manipulate the protocol or the services that we want to enumerate. So let's hit enter and let's see whether we are getting something in response or not. So okay, Hydra started brute forcing, and we can see that we are getting a login credentials that is valid. The first one is system admin, and we got password for the respective user, that is system admin, and for root 8 QWERTY, demo for butterfly, auditor for chocolate. And let the Hydra do its work, and let's see how many valid credentials we can get to log in into this application. So let's see how many valid credentials we can get to brute force the FTP login creds. So we get to know that we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. We have 7 login credentials. Okay, so as I already told you that but first let's copy it so that it will be handy for us later on, and in your during your exam as well. It's a tip from my end that you just copy the credentials what you get, so that you do not have to do it again and again for others questions as well. Okay, but there's a possibility that there will be different scenario in user login credentials, so you have to do it, but consider it as a best practice. So let me open notepad to copy down things. So we get the credentials here, and after that we'll be logging into the FTP. So let me clear the screen. And as I already told you, when we have to log in, we just give the FTP and the IP address of the clear. Okay, so we just have to give the IP address, and let me paste it, FTP, and we want to log in as system admin, and the password is 654321. Okay, fine. So SYSADMIN is the user, and the password is 654321. So we can see that we have successfully logged in, and let's see what we get here. We get a file that is secret.txt, and this is kind of important that you must be aware that how to download a remote file into your host machine. I saw that many of the people were struggling that maybe they have used a different command to download it. So you can use the get command or the download command. So get and secret.txt file. So we can see that the transfer is complete and it is in our local machine. So let's exit and let's do ls, and we see that we have got a secret.txt. Let's cat it to see what is present inside it. So we got to know that there was some secret, and this is the secret. The same way you will be getting the scenario, and you have to just copy the secret and just paste into the answer block, the same way that you used to do in try hack me or the hack the box scenario. So that's all about the FTP enumeration, and let me summarize that what we learned that what actually is FTP and what it is used for. So FTP is actually used for sharing the files, and we also saw that how we can do that. We shared a secret.txt file from a remote machine to our own machine, right? We also saw that how we can brute force it, and we successfully brute force FTP service, and we got 7 valid login credentials. We can use these credentials to log into the remote machine and fetch the data or fetch the flag and submit it. So let's get started with another protocol enumeration. So now we'll be enumerating the NetBIOS enumeration, which basically stands for Network Basic Input Output System, and it utilizes basically port number 137, 138 and 139 for NB name and NB datagram. For NB name, we can say that for TCP UDP we can utilize the same port 137 according to our configuration, and for NB datagram we will be using port 138 over UDP, and for NB session we'll be using 139 over TCP. So this protocol is basically used for accessing shared resources, files and printers over the LAN, and communicating between different computers over the LAN. So let's see it practically, that how we can enumerate NetBIOS. It is not considered to be very important for the examination, but in case I'm letting you know that how you can enumerate NetBIOS if it is asked in the examination. Let me check my IP. Okay, so we'll be enumerating some IPs which will be running the NetBIOS. So let me copy it and clear it. So let's check that what IPs are present in our network. We'll be using the wildcard for this, and we discovered that .3 is there is an IP address which is ending with .3 in the last octet. So we'll be enumerating this near the screen, and map .3. And for enumerating NetBIOS we have different flags. So the basic flag, or the first flag that we would utilize, is the -SV for knowing the exact version. And if we want to get a verbose mode, it totally depends on you, but it is not required, so I'll be not using -V flag for the verbose mode. The main thing is we'll be using the NSE script for enumerating. So script, and the name of the script is nbstat. So nbstat.nsc and our target IP. So this is the command that we'll be using to enumerate the NetBIOS service. So let's get started and see what we get in response. Okay, so we got to know that NetBIOS is running on port 139, and when you see that there is a NetBIOS SSN over 445. So let me tell you that when we can use port 445 as well using the SMB service, but in that sometimes we can manually, or the network admin can manually configure the use of NetBIOS in it, or it can exclude it as well. So for this lab, what we focus is that we wanted to know the work group of this IP address. So we got to know that the work group of this host is Recon Labs, and after that host script also gives us some result that NB name is Samba Recon, and we are not aware of the NB users, but we are aware about the MAC address of this host machine. So that's the only thing that we'll be able to recon or enumerate for this NetBIOS service. So that's all about this video, and this is the conclude of everything regarding to the service enumeration. So we have covered all the services that is required or can be asked during the examination, that is the FTP, SNMP, SMB, RDP and NetBIOS. So I believe nothing will be asked out of this scope, but it depends on you as well, that if you want to dig more deeper into this protocol and how to enumerate it and what is the actual working, then you can go learning the concepts of these services. So that's all about this video, guys, and keep loving, keep supporting. Your subscription is very important to me. Keep sharing my videos. If someone is preparing for CEH practical, you can share with them, and I'll be bringing another video, as on day 3 we'll be working on the PCAP analysis or traffic sniffing. So we'll be back with that video. Just be follow along with me and let's crack CS practical. And that's all about this video. Thanks.